if I went to the bar and I was with my friends,
Right.
and there is a super hot, like 10 out of 10, you're drooling at the sight of this person.
Right.
I would be like, wow, they're hot, and I just stay with my friends.
That's fair.
There are so many people that be like, go get her number, and they get up and they go like try and flirt, and I'm like, no, I'm here with my friends. I don't need to flirt with them.
Right.
That's not normal for the majority of people.
See, I've never seen anybody do that, even in my queer friends, where like we see someone really hot at the bar, at the nightclubs or whatever. Most people won't really do that. We'll sort of get on one of the apps and see if they're looking,
Shit, they're hot. Be on the app. Be on the app.
Right,
Bring
right,
it down
right.
to one. Bring it down to 1 mile. 1 mile. Only people in this house.
Exactly. Hold on, let me get on Grindr really quick. Oh my god, he's on there. Yeah, it's like that. I've never seen anybody go up and be like, "Hey baby, can I get your number?" Like I've never seen that before.
For the sake of these people, I'm hoping they don't really say that. But
that didn't turn you on?
Not with the hey baby. I'm even picturing like the hands are together as they're going up and down, as if like they're like hiding the prize.
Hey yo baby, can I get your number? You kind of hot, you kind of thick, buddy, you kind of thick.
Hey. Oh, I bet I can bounce some quarters off that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. My god, you are straight. I've never heard anybody say bounce a quarter off that.
I mean, there's a good chance that no one has ever said that, and you're hearing it for the first time right now.
I would probably, honestly, if someone said I bet I could bounce a quarter off that, I would absolutely sleep with them. I absolutely would. I'd be like, you know what? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Hello, lovely people. Welcome into That Sounds Gay. My name is Jer, and I will be your podcast host for a short time. And today, I am joined by my very longtime friend, representing the entire straight community, so there's zero pressure on you in the entire universe. I have Cole here with me.
We're starting off way too strong. That's too much pressure. You said this was conversational, and now I'm representing
everybody.
No, okay. Oh, well, hi. Thank you for having me. I think I went to the bathroom beforehand. Otherwise, it would have just gone right now.
So since you're speaking for the entire straight community today, I would like to ask you, why do you have the audacity? No, I'm just kidding. It's Pride Month.
Oh my god!
I said I'm going to be easy on you, and then here I am just shredding.
I was laughing because like I've been thinking about like how I'm going to talk, and one of my first thoughts about being straight is, it's like you are related to a serial killer and you're going on a date and everyone knows you're related to the serial killer. So they're on the date. They're all like, we know you're trash, or are you different? Because we're assuming the apple didn't fall too far from the tree. But prove me wrong.
I figured if there was any feelings at all, any awkwardness about being straight in a gay podcast, that I would just destroy that boundary right now and destroy that wall like Berlin, take it down.
Hey.
Early.
Oh my god.
But it's great to have you
tear
here.
down this wall.
Right? It's so good to have you here. I'm
so
really
happy
glad.
to be here.
Yeah. We've known each other like a decade now, right? I think.
Easily, which is weird to think about.
Yeah.
I'm going down memory lane. I stopped talking because then I had like the flashback scenes from like every Disney movie ever. I was just like, oh yeah, we did that together. We did that together. We did that together.
Yeah, and I was on. Was it technically a podcast, or was it the radio show that you were doing with Jesse?
It was a Twitch show.
Twitch show. Oh, that was Twitch.
Yeah, we did. That was our attempt of getting on Twitch.
Right.
And, it was Saturday Night Geek.
Yes.
Uh,
Saturday Night Geek, and I was on.
and
That was so fun.
thanks. Yeah, no. It did, apparently for the networking gods, it was not what they were looking for, so they canceled us. And the joke was on them because the world ended a couple weeks later. So,
Oh,
boom.
that's right.
Yeah, it was such bad timing, but yeah, they're like, yeah, we're gonna end it here, and I was like, okay, it feels very short-lived. And then a few months later, or weeks, I forget the exact timeline,
It was pretty
but
soon though.
yeah.
Didn't you have really high ratings most nights though?
So, yes, because we know how Twitch works.
Yeah.
You're used to podcast numbers, you're like, oh my god, this sucks.
Oh, true.
You only had 40 people in the chat. You're like, this is good.
That's a
I
great
swear.
number. Because it's like the people on Twitch, which, by the way, everyone listening, Cole also Twitch streams and has been
Yeah.
streaming longer than me. On Twitch, people come in small little droves. One person will click in, they'll hang out for like 20 minutes, and then two more people will click in, they'll be there for an hour, so on and so forth. So 40 is not representing an accurate number of all the people who clicked in throughout
No.
the whole thing. So yeah, 40 is great on Twitch.
But it was also the era before everyone was on Twitch.
True.
It was a new media. We didn't understand. So when they canceled it, I don't hold it against anyone.
Right.
Because if it was me now, I would have looked at them going, "You're an idiot. No, we are not ending this."
Right.
But we didn't back then. We didn't know.
Yeah. I think it would be really successful now if it was repitched. But
Oh,
do you
yeah.
want to talk a little bit about the podcast that you do now? Because Cole also
Oh,
has a podcast.
absolutely.
Do you want to talk about it a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah, so I'm part of, it's called the Welcome Party podcast. We do a live show on Twitch for Perception Studio. So you can find us at twitch.tv/Perception Studio every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Alex, JPG, and myself have grown up geeks in our own way, or in Alex's case, married one and then felt the need to learn more. But in a geek culture, when it comes to comic books, movies, TV shows, there's always going to be those gatekeepers.
Always.
And always, and any fandom is going to have it. There's not one fandom that does not have one gatekeeper.
Right.
I've yet to meet one, and we've always, all the shows that we've ever done together, we've always tried to have a more welcoming atmosphere. If you want to learn something, we're here to help you. If you want to know if you want to be into it but you feel awkward, we're here to talk to you.
I love that.
So with the Welcome Party, we tried being more casual about the teaching. We've done versions of the show where it's like a schoolroom and we're like, okay, these are the early days, this is the show, this is the movie that just came out. But now it's just more of like, for example, the Spider-Verse movie, Into the Spider-Verse that just came out. We're gonna do an episode on it,
Oh, that's so cool.
and we could easily do a teaching. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and talk about it. But then the chat always derails us because on Twitch, as you are very aware, Jer,
Yeah.
the chat controls the conversation most of the time.
Right, exactly.
So that's how our show's kind of changed.
I think
But
that's
yeah,
fun.
so
There's
that's
an
the podcast.
interactive part, though.
Oh yeah, the amount of time. One time they paid enough for make me dress up as Kite Man
Stop it.
from Harley Quinn, and I hate Kite Man with a passion. So it was more out of spite. They were like, "We're gonna make him do this," and it worked. The chat redeemed we're calling it a video game night because legally we're not allowed to say the things that are going to make video game night fun.
Got it.
So we're not allowed to say legally that
We're
that's
being
what they paid for.
creative.
Yeah, they just paid to watch us play video games, not at all some, the fun gummy bears or alcoholic beverages that might be inhabitable.
Even though those are a very fun time.
Yes. Just legally, you're not allowed to say that on Twitch. So it's like,
Interesting.
okay, you paid for us to play video games.
Right.
Boom.
I'm learning new things.
Come
I'm
on, you
learning new
know that.
things.
You
Well,
knew that.
I knew some things. I knew some things. I'm kind of the way that I sort of operate in most areas of life is if nobody tells me that it's wrong, I'm probably fine. And that's how I've always been with kind of everything, you know?
Sir, Jared, do you know why we have pulled you over? Well, I'm assuming skateboarding down the bridge is a bad thing. I know I'm trying to think of something ridiculous.
Why don't you tell me why you pulled me over? Do you know how fast you were driving? Of course I do. I was driving the speed limit. How fast is
Oh,
the speed limit? Well, that sign over there says it's 40, and that's what I was driving.
ah,
You never say you don't when that's a trick question. When they say, "Do you know how fast you're driving?" That's a trick question because they want you to think that you should say, "No, I don't know," so that they can
yeah.
tell you and be like, "You were driving 55 in a 25 zone." Do you just say, "Of course I know. I was driving the speed limit every time." Every time. That's the way that they can't get you because they'll try to. Especially here in California, we got the chippies.
Yeah,
Have you called
see,
them the chippies?
I have never done that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know that was a phrase.
California Highway Patrol. I grew up with cop parents. I think you knew this. So they called them chippies all the time.
Huh.
Yeah, and anybody
I
that has like cop family will probably call California Highway Patrol chippies.
Where is it? What is it? Because there's CHPs?
Yeah, I think there was actually a
Okay.
show back in like the 80s or the 70s that was called Chips. And it was about California Highway Patrol. And I think it was like
Oh,
a silly little like romp with the police that I'm sure would
that
do
sounds
so well
that's
on
it
TV
sounds
now.
so familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember if anybody was in it that you or I might know. It's honestly been so long since,
Ah,
you know.
that's okay. So yeah, no. Anytime I'm just driving and I see them behind me, I'm always like, "Fuck."
Right. Like, please don't pull me over.
Yeah,
Everything's
just don't.
fine.
Yeah, never hit the brakes, but I'm gonna let my car coast for a little bit.
Right. And then don't white knuckle. You just drive carefully and calmly and rationally. It's
Yep.
fine.
Oh yeah.
So, since you brought up gatekeeping, one of these big things that a lot of us enjoy in life is sex and sexuality. You know, it is a part of a lot of our lives, but a lot of us don't talk about it. And you have hung out in my streams many times where I'm talking about something very out of pocket. And some people vibe with it and some people don't. But there's a lot of, I don't know, puritanical beliefs about certain things revolving sex. And I think it's important to talk about it and not gatekeep that information from each other because it helps us learn. It helps us grow. It helps us become better people. It helps us become better functioning adults to not have these weird so did you do the thing, did you bounce a quarter off the, like there's weirdness that surrounds that. And I thought having you here as a straight identifying individual that you'd have some good insight to kind of talk about some of that stuff and some of those big differences that do plainly exist between our different communities. And it's Pride Month, so what better time to talk about it, you know?
Yeah. Pride Month, bring on the straight boy. I love it.
I mean, can I want to say something on that though. Do you know that there are people that think that A in LGBTQIA stands for ally?
A doesn't stand for ally, right?
It does not.
Okay, I thought this was like a
It does
trap
not.
where I was
No.
like, wait, of course not.
It does
It
not.
does, and I'm gonna be like,
It does not.
it,
It stands
I
for
tried to.
asexual.
Thank you. I was like, oh my god. Wait,
Some people think that it stands for ally. And I'm
I'm
like, hello?
because they want it to be about them.
It's true.
Like,
So oppressed.
I am an ally. I'm on the flag. Well, I mean, okay, sure. Um,
I'm on there. A, it's for me.
yeah.
No,
Add
it was
an
not a
S
trick
there, buddy,
question.
or a C. Add an A, an S, or a C. I guess for straight or cis. Like I guess maybe.
I
I,
do think that would be helpful for some people though. Like gay, cis, maybe on some level. I don't know. Maybe it would divide us more.
I
I don't know.
mean, I get it, but it's just it defeats the purpose. Like
I
for
guess.
me, the hardest thing that comes in all this is just listening.
Mm,
Because I'm one of those people who wants to solve problems,
right.
and when it comes to this situation, like, if you want to be like a real good ally, just shut up. Because
Right.
like I have plenty of circles where I can be like, oh yeah, and take the lead and talk. But when it comes to this, it's like, no, no, people were just racist to me. I didn't ever have anyone going at me for, my orientation. So
Mm,
like I can't I just can't imagine being like, hey, that's a cool flag. You should add my initial in there too, so I'm included.
right. Let me go ahead
Thank
and
you.
slither in here too.
Yeah. Like
Well,
that doesn't feel right.
since you brought it up, I have so many questions that I'm
Hmm.
gonna attempt to ask, and we can just talk about them very casually. But since you brought it up, have you ever had the inclination of any kind to be like, to tell people, hey, I'm straight? Or does that just, I don't know, as someone who's never been straight,
Hmm.
I've played the role of pretending to be straight, but there's always that thing underneath that said I'm being inauthentic in this space. So I never had to tell anybody that I was a heterosexual person. But
Hmm.
as gay queer people, we have this need to sort of let people know we're in a space that might not accept me, so I need to let them know I'm queer. Is it okay that I'm
Hmm.
in this space, or is there going to be harm to me? Is that a thing with straight people, or is it just like
Hmm.
not even a thought?
When I was younger, it was a thing. As I've gotten older, it hasn't, but that's mostly because I'm just more sure of myself in
Mm,
this of my sexuality and who I am as a person and what I'm attracted to and what
mm,
I consider to be, I guess it's this is probably not the correct phrasing, but a the time period, I guess.
oh yeah,
Because what I'm older. I'm I'm an late 80s kid, mostly 90s, but it counts, I guess.
yeah,
So like I grew up during the phrase time where certain phrases were used that are definitely not allowed
oh
anymore.
yes,
And back then, oh my God, I definitely had to be like, oh no, I'm straight. I'm
mm,
straight. Or the no, I don't know what's allowed on here to say certain derogatory stuff, so I'm not gonna fake.
yeah,
We were alive in if you were alive in the 90s, you heard the no blah blah blah.
right, right, right.
That was a thing that was consistent. And I'm pretty sure all of them were because when I was in theater, we had a quote unquote tradition where all the boys went in the bathroom and then they made sure you wearing your underwear. Why? One person who was always the same dude would cup a feel and make sure you weren't wearing underwear. And so I'm like, I'm pretty sure you were,
What?
but yeah, like
What?
that was a tradition that as I've gotten older, I'm going, I'm pretty sure that's not okay.
That's definitely not okay.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a teacher, and I feel like in today's world we have to specify that
Right.
another student, but it was still like,
That's still a
we,
lot.
yeah, and we all willingly did it. We all willingly were like, yeah.
That's wild to me. Yeah, I mean, not that it makes it any better, but I think sometimes when we talk about these things, we're so aware of what current society is and how we've bettered ourselves as people, how we try to avoid behaviors very harshly, right? But the reality is that the 90s was a different time. It
Yeah.
really just was. And it's not an excuse. It's not to say that that's why we all acted or said certain things, but it really was. It was a completely different era that
Not
so
late
many things
90s,
flied.
early 2000s. Oh my God, if you like, people are like, oh, it still holds up, and I watch it going, no, it doesn't.
No.
You just you wanted to like let's just admit you wanted to because
Right.
it's fond memories, it's nostalgia for you, but if you
Right.
put it on for like a 15-year-old right now, they're gonna be like, "You can't say that," and they're gonna
Oh,
like do the whole
fully.
like the head turn as they look at you when you're on the couch, going, "What?"
The eyebrow raising up to
Yeah.
the hairline. What the fuck is this?
What did he say?
Right. But it really
Uh,
was. I mean,
yeah.
for me, I knew that there was going to be a level of unacceptance in that
Mm,
time, so I was always so careful about everything I did, everything I said, and there were certain phrases that I even used then just to hide and mask. But being
mm.
in theater was one of those things I was never comfortable doing because if you were, and I don't know how it was for you in the environment you were in, but in my school, if you were in theater, you were one of the fruity kids.
I
And
mean,
so
yeah.
I had
I'm
to be
sorry.
very careful. No, you're fine. I stayed away from theater because I didn't want anybody to know.
Oh. Yeah, no, I've always been a performer. So
Mm,
theater fit like a glove for me, and it felt like home. So
mm,
I never I didn't have to deal with it too much.
mm.
That thought process definitely did come up, and I think even to this day, my mom is still waiting for me to come home and be like, well, actually, like,
Actually, Mom, I'm sucking dick now.
yeah, uh, like, I think a lot of people are actually still waiting for that phone call, but it's what's
Waiting or
funny,
hoping?
depending on the community. Um, but yeah, no, back then it just I felt the need to always be like, oh yeah, no, blah blah blah, and then it was just moving forward as a conversation.
Right,
But now I don't have to. If
right.
anything, I get the more of a, oh, he's straight. Like I don't know how I enter a room, but apparently I enter the room like a straight man, and I'm like,
You do.
I, but it's like I am. So it's
Yeah,
like I guess thank you.
yeah.
I don't know to say thank you or like that tracks. I don't know.
That I mean, it's an accurate statement.
Yeah. And sometimes the way they say it, you're just like, okay, that was with sass, and I don't know why. I did not have to be so charged. I just arrived.
Oh, he's straight like that.
And sometimes that's obvious. That is obvious. But it's just more like it's I don't know. Like you enter and then it's like the cool dry. Oh, he's straight.
Mm,
But it's so much implied in the sentence, and each situation, each is different. That sentence is different depending on the
right,
situation,
right, right,
and that's not what this show is about today.
right, right, right. Absolutely. So in queer culture, and I think a lot of this is not the norm for everybody. Obviously, it's not that every single person has these feelings, but in queer culture, polyamory and open relationships is very, very common. And in your experience, from the women you've dated, the friends you've had that are straight, how common is that for straight people to even address that idea? Because I have some controversial takes, but I'll let you
Hmm.
answer that first.
Well, we everyone I've been with has kind of agreed we'd get jealous,
Mm,
and that has always kind of been like you talk about like wouldn't it be fun, and it's like oh yeah, but I like everyone admits like wouldn't be able to handle it.
in the long run, right?
Yeah. My current partner is not poly.
Mm.
If I'm saying that poly
Yeah,
is where
polyamorous.
that's
There's poly is like the kind of umbrella catch-all term.
thank you. Okay. But she's definitely celebrating this month,
Oh, good.
and so it's not my I don't know what the rules. I don't know. It's not
Is
my
there
place.
something that you could you do that? You know, if you had somebody that said,
Mhm.
"I love you more than anything, and I always want to keep coming back to you, but I think it'd be really fun if we had other sex partners,
Mm.
and you know, they either are involved with us or we do it separately, and you have the freedom to do it, or we can agree to do it together." Could you ever do that?
Oh, absolutely not.
Really?
I I could not, like, I've come a long way, but I'm a jealous person. If
Mm.
and it's not jealousy like no one can have you except me, but it's more like in the sense of you found someone better, they
Ah,
deserve to be with you, not me, and I now am just going to take the loss, and I hope you have a great time, and then I just walk away.
totally fair. Totally fair. And I don't think that's bad. I don't think being jealous or being monogamous or wanting or desiring, craving monogamy is a bad thing by any means. And I think for me, and this is kind of my one of my spicier takes, is that I think more people than would like to admit are interested in open relationships and non-monogamy, but choose not to talk about it because they want to suppress it. They feel like there's something taboo about that. And that's why so many people cheat. And that's why I
Mm.
see it happen so much from my perspective, from especially in the straight community, is there are these people that they they do crave more relationships than just the one, but they're so afraid to talk about it that they end up cheating because
Mm.
they can't just address that they want other things. And every relationship is unique and different. And I think there's no right or wrong way to do it, right? It's what's best for you. And I think what we see in the queer community in particular is this openness to have non-monogamous relationships because we've sort of already bucked this idea that we have to do a straight presenting thing, that phrase heteronormativity, right? We're already saying like we don't need to do that whole thing. Monogamy is great if you choose to do it, but it's not a necessity. And I think that is one of my spicier takes. That I
Uh,
think that's why you see it more often in the queer community.
well, I mean, you can also argue that for the longest time, you the queer community was not allowed to get married.
Right, exactly.
So, like, for I don't know what it's like in your community, but for if you're straight and you date someone for longer than a year, the first thing anyone asks is, "So you getting married?
Yeah,
You
when
gonna
you're
have
getting married,
kids?"
when you're having kids. Yeah.
And I think and in my opinion, why a lot of people cheat is there's nothing wrong with the partner.
Mm.
They just aren't happy. They don't want to be with them, and they're like, "Oh man, they're not doing anything wrong. I'm just not into it anymore. But if I
Um.
break up with them, I'm the bad guy, and I don't want to be the bad
Oh, yeah.
guy. So I'm just going to tough it out. Oh, this person's really into me." And there are those people, and I think this is not a certain community. I think this is universal.
Right. This is a
There are
person thing.
those there's people who love being with people in other relationships. Like
Yes.
that's their kink. That's what they get into. So when you're unhappy, you want to leave but you can't, and this
Mm.
person wants to be with you, you're going because they're gonna say all the things like, "Don't worry, they'll never know. It's just you and me. You can do whatever you want to me. Your
Mm.
all your fantasies are gonna come true. Like you can do all those things," and that's where I think it comes from because they don't want to be the bad guy. I mean, I'm sure yours is also correct. No one talks about it really,
Right.
of,
It's
in
just not
poly.
discussed.
So like that's why I can't. I'm not disputing you.
Right.
I'm just
Right.
saying it seems more like the fear of being the bad guy, and then someone sparks their interest, and then one thing leads to another. Oh my God, where are my pants?
That's fair. So, I mean, in your experience, have you had situations either way? Because I know for me, when I was first starting to date Jake, before we had even gotten married or anything, there were people that were like, "You're dating someone? Oh, do you wanna mess around?" And they were only interested when I was unavailable.
Yep.
Have you had that
That
before too?
um the I've always okay, so it feels like there's always more desire for me when I'm in a relationship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's when people and it's because you're confident. You're with someone, you're not trying. And you're also not looking at any little sign of, "Oh, do you want to be with me?"
Right, right, right.
because you're not interested. Um it does it it does feel like when the minute I get locked up
Um,
is when everyone their
Knocked up.
mother comes yeah, knocked up. I'll see you in 6 months, Jared.
I knew if I kept trying.
The baby will be beautiful. I'm hoping your hair.
Beautiful hair.
But yeah, no, it does feel like if I'm in a relationship, especially if I'm posting about it, that's when I get the most. Like when I post a picture, people leave me alone.
Yeah.
Until the next day, and then I get a comment.
And they're like, "Ooh, you're unavailable." That makes it more interesting, more spicy.
Yeah, like, oh wait, if they like you, that means I need you.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
what the hell?
And there's so much to break down in that, which I think should be saved for another day, because that's an entire rabbit hole. How many times, going back to the original thought, how many times have you had anybody, if ever, ask if you'd be interested in opening up your relationship to other people? If that's ever been a conversation in any relationship.
In terms of how serious of asking, bringing someone in, like, do they have a person already in mind? Is it like a thing they're really interested in, or is it just asking the question?
Just like a silly, yeah, I don't know. And for you?
I've only had it happen once. It's very recent. I've only happened once of asking about it.
Interesting.
But not. That was it.
Really?
We're talking about the original question. So.
Yeah. Going back to that is like, on that end, and this is not everybody. I don't want it to make it seem like it's a stereotype. I know so many couples that are in the LGBT spectrum that is something that's brought up and it's conversed about. And because I am very open about my experience with being poly with Jake and having our relationship be what it is, a lot of people will come to me and ask, so my partner just asked if, we could maybe have sex with other people or invite people in to our relationship, and I don't really know what to do about that. It's not anything I've ever thought about, and it's almost exclusively queer people. I think I've only had maybe one or two straight people who have asked, but it seems like the straight people that I usually interact with in my own community on Twitch, that is the farthest thing from their brain. That's not even a thought that they would ever have ever. And so it's just really fascinating to me, the polarization of those two is that I hardly see it from people in the straight community, but I see it quite often within my own, And so I find that fascinating.
Yeah, no, I wonder, I don't know why, because like for me, when I find my person, I just, that's it, that's my person. Right. I don't, like, there's alone time where you're like, you think about it, or you're watching stuff, but I've never, like, when I'm in a relationship, I don't look at someone and go, not thinking like, I bet you're fun, but no, like, I want to experience things with you.
Right.
It just doesn't come up.
Yeah. And that's completely fair. And I think that monogamy, obviously, it does happen in the queer community. And I hope anybody listening doesn't think I'm trying to make it seem like all queer people are all poly and open relationships, because it's really not the case. There's a lot of monogamy.
Right.
And I'm just curious how prevalent it is, or if it's even not even a conversation in the straight community, because from what I hear, it doesn't seem like, if it's a thought, doesn't seem like most people are willing to have that conversation.
Oh, absolutely not. No. You have to be really sure your partner is not going to blow up if you're going to have those kind of talks.
Okay, I think we're getting to it then.
Well, it's one of those, okay, so if you ask that question to the wrong partner, it's going to be, why? Have you already done it? Have you cheated on me? Or am I not good enough? And they want to ask what they're doing wrong. And it's like that's gonna be the first thought that goes through their head.
I think you may have hit the nail on the hammer, whatever the phrase is.
Nail on the hammer. Yeah. We are building buildings here, everybody. Nail on the hammers.
building skyscrapers here from the roof down. I think you hit it on that, because I think being sexual minorities and generally being oppressed in many different ways, we're just very comfortable as a community being open about our sexuality and talking about it so comfortably that if somebody were to say, hey, would you ever consider having an open relationship? It would just be like no, probably not. Or, oh yeah, I've thought about it a little bit, but I don't know if I could do it. And there wouldn't really be much more than that. I can't imagine there'd be too many queer people that would go to DEF CON. Like, why? Have you already cheated? Like, I can't imagine that would be too much, you know?
Is it possible because especially in the past where you had to keep it a secret?
Right.
Is it possible because your sexuality is what helped bring you together? What you guys connect on? So being able to talk about your sexuality is more, it connects you so much more than it would be for straight people, cis people, because like, of course we can get together. Like, there's never been like, how dare you? No.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, this kind of bleeds into something else that we are very comfortable with is before, and not that every single relationship starts with sex, because many in my community, it is about the relationship. It's about the connection. But when it does start engaging in sex, we're very comfortable discussing those things ahead of time. And I'm curious about preferences when it comes to straight romance. You've hooked up with people before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you do that, I'm just gonna be totally blunt here. Do you, when you and the girl are messaging, are you like, do you like your pussy ate, or do you like just like getting plowed, or do you like not even bring that up? It's just like, hey, do you wanna hook up? And then there's no conversation about what is next.
I don't know if anyone's ever. Oh God, please tell me no one has ever sent. Do you want to hook up as the initial starter?
No. Well,
the thing is,
on Grindr,
like I said, back at the beginning of this, like it's like we're related to a murderer. Like, it comes back down to like there's probably someone listening to your podcast right now going, I've had it happen. Like it's probably happened, and
right.
I'm so sorry on behalf of the entire straight community. Like, oh God, because there's an endearing way of doing that. If you guys are close and it's like an inside joke, cool.
Sure.
But if it's like you swiped right, you've had 2 conversations, you know they work at like Office Depot, and then you go, do you want to hook up? Like, what the fuck?
So anyway, is that not a thing? Wait, no.
I mean, I'm sure it is.
We're putting a pin on my original question. Is that like for you and the people you've interacted with? Is that a thing? Like, you swipe right on Tinder, right? And you start talking, and if you know that you're both on the app looking for sex, do you like be a little more casual? Because on Grindr or Scruff, Sniffies, anything like that, if you know that you're there for sex, you're not there for a relationship. Usually the first message is, are you looking to get fucked? Or are you looking for fun? Like, that's one of the first parts of the message. There's hardly any, like, politeness, cordialness.
Well, for me, okay, so when I've been on dating apps, I've been looking for, like, I got on, like I said, I'm older. Mm-hmm. So for me, I've been looking for a relationship. I wasn't looking for a hookup.
Right.
When I was on the apps. So I never... I rarely get messaged first. It's it always has to be the guy. I know Bumble is an app where the women message first, but their messages are, hey, hi, and it always makes me laugh because on Tinder profiles, they'll all like, or any dating profile where they're trying to date, the women that I have seen the majority of, and I don't know if it's a copy and paste because they think it's funny, but it's always, if you're gonna talk to me, do not start with hey, hi, or hello. I want like humor. Talk to me like a person. Read my bio and bring something from it. And I'm like, well, I have to swipe left. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
What I see a lot is, why does nobody read bios? No, I'm not a top. No, I don't host, and no, I won't meet in a car, and it's like stuff like that.
Okay, I've seen the does no one read bios, but I have never seen no, I'm not a top, and I've never seen
Well, obviously.
right, the car one. The car one has me surprised. Like
Wait,
that
do
is
straight
like
people not hook up in cars?
oh no, we hook up in cars, but I've never seen that on a bio.
Oh yeah, it's that's a very big thing, especially on the apps. A lot of people don't host, which you know what hosting is, right?
I'm assuming having you in their home.
Right, exactly. You're hosting them in your space, and most people don't. They either have roommates, or they live with family, or they. I've actually met quite a few people that don't want their roommates to know that they're gay, so they won't have
Um,
people over because they don't want them to have any suspicion that they're a little bit fruity in 2023 of all times. But yeah, a lot of people do not host, and so most people will say, "Do you want to play in the car?" So yeah,
hmm.
that's a very common thing, and some people are just not into it. So that'll be like in their bio.
Huh.
Yeah, indeed.
That,
So
I just
sorry.
learning. That's new for me.
We're
Learning.
we're circling all around. Okay, so yeah, you get the why does nobody read the bio?
Oh
They
yeah, and
don't
then
start
it's
with the
just
hey hi hello.
right. And then it's just how like you just have conversations, and then it's like getting their phone number essentially, and then you go on a first date, and then I mean, hopefully you're honest in the bios. If you're
Mm-hmm.
looking for just sex, hopefully everyone's on the same page. But from what I
Right.
understand, there's either flirting through messages, but it's not the first thing of hey, you want to bang, unless you're a 10.
Right.
If you are like, holy hell, this dude has money, they look sexy, they're fun, and you're cool,
Right.
then maybe that happens, but not in my experience.
That's so fascinating. That's really it really is, and I mean this very honestly. It's fascinating. And before I go back to what I was originally asking is this something that you've had extensive conversations with other straight friends, or is this not even anything that would be addressed, like in casual conversation? Because I know for me, I mean, you've heard me talk. Me and
Yeah.
many of my gay friends, we're just like, oh yeah, so I hooked up with this guy and it was whatever, and this is what we did, and blah 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 blah. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I had something similar, da da da, and that's kind of it. It's the same as the weather's warm today. I got my ass ate yesterday. Like it's not a big deal. Is this something that's common?
Um,
Not really.
I mean, at different circles,
You
all
probably have
my
to be
friends
closer
are,
then, right?
yeah, my friends are all married.
Hmm.
So the way it gets brought up with them is more like jokes
Yeah.
than actually like talking about it.
Fair.
The My straight friends, especially when I was younger, my straight friends that would talk about it, they it was never like, oh, like you were like we're on drinks, like, oh, that good for you. It was never like that. It always made me feel dirty. So I
Hmm.
was like, I kind of don't want to hear you
Interesting.
getting some, because it felt more like they won a video game, and you're just like,
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I
uh,
got some last night, bro.
yeah,
Fist
no,
bump. Yeah.
yeah, and like half the shit they would like, oh, you know what she did, and you're like,
Right.
do we? I don't think we do, but
Yeah.
okay, like, all right. But like when I would be with my, my friends that are women, they would make me laugh when they would talk about their conquest because they just had more eloquent ways of laughing about it.
Hmm.
So that to me was more comfortable than just sitting around listening to
Like you
um
won a prize or something, which is so
yeah,
gross.
because like I don't know, like whenever I've heard, now bear in mind the women still, they still are talking about it like in a mean way sometimes, where it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, he tried,
Right.
he did his best.
I've done that
um
too. I've
yeah,
definitely done that.
so it's like both sides do it, but
Right.
like it just, I don't know why, but when it comes like when I'm in their conversation, it's so much funnier and I'm dying, I'm laughing. But then
Hmm.
when I'm listening around guys, it's just like,
Right. Like you realize that she's not a crane game prize. Like this is a a human being that has
Yeah.
feelings and thoughts and
Yeah.
emotions.
I mean, it. Here's hoping that today's people talk a lot differently.
I would
But
hope so.
all my friends right now are all married, so
Mm,
definitely don't have to worry about any of those gross comments
got it.
from them.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's I am very sorry. My cat is here and he's demanding attention. That's
I don't even
really
hear your
interesting. Oh,
cat,
that's
but that's
good.
amazing.
He's just sitting here purring. So yeah, going back to what I had asked earlier on that, because we
Mm.
a lot of times what we do is, especially for us, is that we sort of talk about these things to normalize the conversations and to make it feel more comfortable to talk about.
Mm.
Is it normal that I don't somebody did this to my body and I don't like that? Or I enjoyed
Mm.
that, and I sort of mean like, you know, they if this is too much, please let me know. Like they stuck two fingers in and it wasn't comfortable, and so I don't know if I want to do that again. Like what would you recommend to try it out? You know, like that's sort of
Mm.
where the intention usually is. And
I
so
only
we
have one question.
yeah.
What did you think was over the line of
Oh,
asking
I
that?
don't know. I don't know.
'Cause I was like, oh, here it comes.
Right.
Oh,
Oh, that's
okay.
it? Oh, that's fine. Yeah, no, I just wasn't sure. I wanted to be I'm trying to respect boundaries here.
I'm just picture. I thought you were gonna be like, so I'm in your closet right now. Ooh la
I'm
la.
in your walls at this exact moment. Um
Oh God, I am so sorry.
like the what was that movie? The Boy or something? Is that what it was called? Where there was that doll and he was actually like living in the wall or something. I never watched it,
Oh
but
my
I
God,
think
that
it was called The
horror
Boy.
movie.
Yeah.
It was
And it
The
had
Boy.
the lady from Walking Dead, the
I don't remember. I don't
Herschel's
like
daughter.
dolls,
Oh yeah, I don't
so
either. I hate
like
them.
I walked into a room full of porcelain dolls, and I have
Nope.
never noped out of a room so fast.
Nope. I would walk out so fast. I'd be like, this is not for me. This is not in my
Yep.
fantasy.
I like living.
So yeah, you we're at the point where we both know that we want to have sex. I'm gonna
Hmm.
pretend that I'm a sexy girl on an app, and you
Okay.
know, and I'm interested in sex. You're interested in sex. That's the only reason
Hmm.
why we're on this app. We're trying to get laid tonight. Do
Okay.
you talk about the things that you want to do, or is it just you kind of just think, well, obviously I'm gonna put it in, and then we're gonna finish,
Oh God, I
like,
hope
or
not.
is there any conversation around that? Because
Well, for
we
me, there's
do.
conversation.
That's good.
God, I can't imagine the lack of conversation for that. You said you were saying that you guys talk?
Yeah, I just have burning questions here. It's like you get on an app and I'm I'm horny, they're horny, we're talking, what are you into? Okay, well, I only want to do this tonight. I'm prepped for a bottom tonight and I can do
Mm.
that. I'm not really into giving head, but if you want to give me head, that's fine. And there's all of these little things that go along the way so that you know that you're going to be compatible for that moment, so that there's not any questions of we get to the space and then it's like, oh no, don't do that,
Right.
or any of that, you know.
I mean, for like, sexting is I think a huge thing.
Right.
Because there's going to be things where you like, oh, I'm not into that, and you go, oh, okay, and then you just amend it, and it's the same conversation of let's do like I want to do this, I want to do that, I can't wait to do that.
Got
I
it.
really love this is my favorite positions. If we do this, I'm not lasting long. It's being honest, so both parties kind of get a good video game session in. I because like in my opinion, if you're here to have sex, like the goal is for both people to finish.
Yeah, the idea is both of you get off if that's what you're
And
looking for.
yeah, I mean, like let's be real. There's going to be the older you get, the more tired you are, the less chances of every time finishing is going to be a thing. But
I
as
always
long as you
finish.
oh, do
if i'm
you?
if i'm going if I'm gonna clean up and I'm gonna disturb my flora and fauna on the inside with hot
Mhm.
tap water, I am finishing.
I oh man,
I'm
there's
ready to go.
have you ever like not so for me like there's been moments where I've it's been an hour. I
Mm.
am now dead. I am exhausted. I can barely like it's starting to chafe. I'm done. We've done all the
No.
positions. We've done all the foreplay. We've done it all. It's just not finishing tonight. I literally have just thrown in the towel and been like, this is it.
For me, no, but I have been with people who that's been the case. The longest that I've committed to a man was 3 hours. And at
Oh my
hour
god.
2.5 or something, I'm like, are you close yet? Are you ready to finish? And he was like, no, I could probably go for another hour or two. And I said, I can't handle this anymore. I need to eat something because my blood pressure is low. And
Like,
my
it's just
glucose level's low. I need to get food in me.
it just becomes so much work where I'm like, I just want to cuddle now.
Yeah, I'm done. I did everything I needed to do. And
Yeah.
that's how I felt too. I'm like I can't do anymore. So, if it's okay with you, I'm going to finish and then I'm going to go home if that's all right cuz
I mean,
I can't do it anymore.
yeah, no, and that's like, I don't know. I can't. I yeah. If I'm dead and you still keep going, power to you. I'm probably like kissing you on your neck and like cheering you on in a sense.
Come, come, come.
Yeah. Oh, not that cheesy, but yeah, like dirty talk and all that stuff.
Could you imagine though? You're like, yeah, you got this. You got this. You're gonna finish. You're gonna finish so good.
You
You
know,
got
there is
this,
that
girl.
one person who has that kink, and their
Praise
roommates are probably
kinks.
so confused.
Yeah, praise kinks are real though.
I know praise kinks are real, but that's more like cheering on. That's not like praising is more like you were taking this so good.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, you're the best I've ever had.
Right, right,
This is
right.
amazing. Oh my god, like
Ooh.
that stuff, but not the go go. You can do it. You can do it. No one can. Go go.
I would probably be very confused. Be like, what the hell is wrong with you right now?
There are the erection is going down. I repeat, we are losing power to the erection. The erection is going down. Oh god, we need images, not of the grandmother. No.
That's the worst when you're just trying to think of how to finish and you let your mind wander for a minute and then all the horrible things come in your head and you're like, "Oh no, not the Geico commercial. That's not how I'm going to finish today."
Have you ever had it where oh no, we're about to end this too soon. So then you slow down the pace, you pull out or do whatever you got to do to calm down. And then you go back and you go, "Oh no. I did too good a job." We're oh no.
Yeah.
They're about to be done and I am back to level 1. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, one time in particular, where I was like, "Ooh, I'm about to finish," and so like I stopped what I was doing and I worked on them for a bit, and then got really close and I went to go continue what I was doing, and I'm like, "Oh no, I don't think I can finish now," and they were like, "Oh, I'm ready to go," and I'm like, "Oh, it might take me another couple minutes. I gotta rev back up," but yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's worse for me, and what I find happening more often is, like, for me personally is I'm ready to go and I'm ready to finish and they're like I could go another half hour. And you say you're old. When I say I'm old, I mean like I got things to do, you know? I got places to be, I got food to eat, I got cats to feed, I got a life to live. So I can't be at your house for an hour. 45 minutes is pushing it. 30 is ideal to kind of get a little bit of kissing, some foreplay, whatever else we're doing, and then in an ideal this might surprise some people, and I've told other people this, and they're really shocked. Ideal situation, 15 minutes or less. That's perfect for me,
I
because we're
I
probably
think
talking beforehand, you know.
I want to know the correlation between that and penises because I'm right there with you. Like, I don't need this to go. Like, I know that Hollywood has been like, they were in there for hours. Do you
Right, right,
see the
right.
windows and the sweat and the steam? And I'm like, well, my life doesn't work that way. I don't have that much time. And
Mm,
it's more, for me, it's going hard and fast. that's the fun. Like, yes, the build up is great.
Right. I love foreplay. Wow.
Foreplay, yes.
Do you
Foreplay
hear
is
that?
amazing. I
We're
do.
trying to film a podcast, people. Chill out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like it gets the mood going. Like
Right.
there's the things you're saying to each other outside of the like before you even start, just to get their like you're in their head, you're getting them excited, you're getting them like just the thought of you is gonna be amazing.
Right.
Then you do the foreplay in person, and then it's like yeah. So then when you go to do the actual act, everyone's already revved up, everyone's lubed up, everyone's ready to go, and then it doesn't last that long on paper, but technically it's been going on all day.
Right, exactly. That's my favorite thing is typically I like to give myself a couple hours before I'll do it. So like I just want to make sure the person's not a psychopath unless we've already met up before. And then I'm like, okay, let's get a feel for each other. Do we like the vibes? This is what I would like to do. And then you get all the, like you said, you get the idea in your head of what it's going to be. So you're already getting mentally revved up. So by the time you're actually meeting and you start kissing, all that passion has already been built up. You're not creating it right then in that moment. I love that shit.
Same.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think a lot of my femme friends have expressed kind of what you had already touched on, is that 15 minutes is not enough. A lot of my femme friends have said they want a minimum 30 minutes. With outliers, of course, not every single one of them. With outliers, of course, that some were like, no, it's fine. If we can get the job done in less, that's perfect. But I do want to know what that correlation is, because I'm fine doing all the pre-foreplay via texting or messaging. And then you get there, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, that's a really lovely, comfortable place. Because it's like, thank you for finishing fast and respecting my time and respecting my schedule. Now I can get back to life.
And that's like, I want to know, for them that say like 30 minutes or longer, like, are they including what we're talking about from like the whole day?
No.
Or are they talking about straight up the act?
I don't know if you saw it. It was months ago. I put a poll up on Twitter and I was like, for everybody, I want to know the ideal amount of no foreplay penetration, how long you think it should last for. And I put 5 minutes, I put 10, I put 20, and then I put more than 30. And there were I think I got like 50 plus responses to it. There were quite a few that said 10 minutes or more, but there was a huge chunk of people that said 30 minutes or more.
Oh, I want to know how many of those.
Right.
I just want to know, like, what's the practice?
Right.
Yeah, you're saying that, but are you actually doing it?
Right.
Like,
are you actually physically able to do that? Like, can you keep up for 30 minutes of penetration nonstop or receiving that for 30 minutes or more? Because I'd be worn out. And I understand I have different parts than some people, you know. Some people's body parts are able to expand and stretch for 30 minutes. I do not have one of those, so I can't. But my tightness can't do that. My penis can't do that. And I have all the respect in the world for people that can go 30 minutes or more. But in my brain, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to factor in foreplay in this, that it's probably not just kissing and all that. There's probably some oral in there. There's probably some hand stuff as well that's involved. And then you get to the 30 minutes of just penetration. That's like, I'm thinking in my head, that's an hour and a half commitment right there.
Yeah.
That's so much time. Who has time for that? In this economy?
Yeah. I just, it's one of those things where you hear it and it's like, okay. It's like those people that go, oh, I go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week. Bitch, you go time? Once or twice.
Yeah.
Once or twice. You do not go 4 to 5. You may think about going 4 to 5, but you do not actually go 4 to 5.
When I was asleep, I was dreaming about the treadmill for a couple of hours, so I'm just factoring that in.
Yeah. No, I drove by there. I parked, but, I did have places to go, so I left, but I was there. It counts. Get out.
I was in the parking lot of Planet Fitness while I was getting Taco Bell. And I was there for about an hour. That counts. I was near the vicinity. That's so funny. We're kind of getting to a wrap up place. I've been, we've it's been like about 15 minutes now, I think.
Okay, I hope we've answered any of the questions you've
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
talk
No, I've
about.
I've really enjoyed this. This has been so much fun, and I've been severely enjoying it. Um, I think what really at the end of the day, all of this is that everybody's got different expectations and preferences, but it's nice to hear that there's not so much of a difference after all. I think a lot of times for me personally, I think, oh, we're so different, gay and straight people. And yes, there are a lot of differences in our culture and how we communicate certain things to each other and all of that and how we navigate life in different ways. But when it comes to these things, there's not as many differences as many of us, I think, perceive that there might be. This is really cool.
Yeah.
I
I
I,
mean,
I
I
like
can't
that.
imagine how much differences can be. We'd only have so many holes and body parts.
I think for me and many others, there's this thought of, well, we're so open about our sexuality. We're so
Mm.
open as about um, what we like and what our preferences are and what we're into. Are straight people the same? Because I have had so many femme friends that just seem disappointed by sex. And they'll be like, "Did you not talk about it beforehand? Did you not figure out what you wanted to do? What led you to be so disappointed?" Cuz I've been disappointed when people, finish much quicker than expected. Like one push and they're like, "Oops."
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah.
but for the most part, there's not many times where I've left and been like, "Oh, I'm upset about how that went." But I feel like it's very common for femme people that that's a case. And so I always just
Yeah.
wonder, like, do y'all talk about this shit before you start, or do you just say like, "Hey, how you doing? Do you want to get some Taco Bell?" And then I'll go ahead and stick it inside you for about 5 minutes until I'm done, and then I'll roll over and go to bed. Like, what was the
There's
build up?
I find it in my opinion,
Mm,
women in a straight relationship want us to know.
mm,
And it's every all of them are different.
mm-hmm.
All of them, the spot is in different spots. I don't know who fucking thought that was hilarious, but whoever created that is fucking an asshole.
They can't find the
Um,
G spot.
the G spot is not in the same spot in every woman, and that is fucking annoying. But it's also they all some like it harder, some like it softer, some like being like when it comes to eating out, like it's everyone has different preferences. Everyone
Right,
has different ways they like the tongue, or the sucking, or the blowing, or the kissing around the area,
right,
or the build up, and let alone like how hard you're supposed to thrust.
right.
Like everyone's different, and they assume that we are just going to instinctively know, like it's a video game that once it starts, we're just matching the buttons and it's going to be the perfect experience for them. And it never is. And the best experiences I've ever had in hookup
Mm,
is when they were brutally honest. Like,
right.
this is like, and the brutally honest ones are usually the ones who like it rougher.
Mm,
The gentle ones, now bear in mind, I have not slept with enough women to have this be a real quantity. Like, oh, I've done the
mm.
science, and as you can see here, the numbers that we carry the two, they all care about, like you memorizing their brain and
Mm,
understanding it. But it just feels like, as a whole, and a generalization, not as a
mm.
whole, as a generalization, like they won't talk to us about what they want.
Interesting.
Um, if they will talk to their friends, they will tell their friends in exact detail the strategy guide to their vagina, but they will not tell their partners.
Yeah,
And they think, like, my also favorite is there's probably some women right now screaming. We
probably.
do tell them.
Yeah, very likely.
And
This is purely your experience.
yes, and my favorite is when you tell us.
Right,
It's more of, oh, did you see that? That might be fun.
right,
But what they're saying is, please do that to me tonight in the bedroom. This scene, copy and pasted. Rewatch this 10 times because
right.
your form better be this. But they don't say. They just say that might be fun. And as a straight guy, I don't know. For the gay community, if it's the same way, but it's just more like you have to blatantly tell me, like, this is what you
Right.
want. If you tell me this is what you want, I will memorize it like the strategy guide to any video game level that I need to beat that I can't,
Right.
or any sense of homework. I will do the work. You just have to tell me.
Right.
And it seems like they don't want to tell you. They want you to just know.
I wonder if
And
there's a
that
coyness about that because there's so many stigmas around women enjoying sex that
possibly,
many times, especially in straight communities, women feel like they're not allowed to enjoy sex.
which you
They,
gotta
they
love the
are supposed
fucking
to.
20s, right?
Yeah, and you should enjoy it. And if you don't, that's totally okay. And
Right, but that's a different
right, and
conversation.
that's a different conversation, right? And I think I wonder if that might have something to do with it. Is that there's a stigma, or that you might be called a slut if you say what you like, and you don't want somebody to
Yeah.
think that. And I've been called many names for enjoying the things that I like too, and I'm okay with that because there's not really stakes, and men, in particular cis men, can be very gross about women who are
Oh yeah.
embracing their sexuality. I mean, look at Monica Lewinsky. Look at someone like her who got drugged through the mud for decades. She still does because she did what she did, and that's a
Yeah.
different situation. But she was a woman who was smart and intelligent and in a position that dared to be sexy and use her sexuality for her and to enjoy it and laughed about it and had a fun time talking about all the things that Bill did to her. And people drug her through the mud for that. And I wonder, and that's still the thing, is that women who are powerful and sexy and use their sexuality, they're drugged through the mud for that. And so I wonder if that has a lot to do with it. And
I mean, I was to say, like, as a guy, I love it
mhm,
when I know they love it. Like, that's one of my turn-ons. Is like
right,
just when you hear that they are into it, it's like, oh, I'm doing this right, and it's just it gets me so revved up. And whatever, especially down below, if I'm, eating out, fingering, anything, if they move me slightly to be in the right spot where I'm now going to have them reacting that way,
I love
fucking
that.
dude, right? It's like no, no, right there. You're like, oh,
Yes.
like don't like grab me, roughly throw me. That I'm not into being abused, but like moving like the hand on the head and then just slightly moving it to the spot that you
Yes.
need, that I'm doing, just not in the spot you need. Oh my god.
Or
Don't
even
just
the
suck up it and
right
just
there.
deal with
That
it. Yeah.
do it right there. That feels really good. I love that. That gets me more hyped up than anything.
Yeah.
Gets me than anything. And everybody is different about their communication levels during sex, and that's why I talk about it so much, to break down these barriers so that it's okay to understand that it's all right to enjoy it, to like it, to talk about it. Even in the moment, it's okay. You should. It's, for me, sex is a conversation that's happening with our bodies. And if you are not communicating what feels good, what is talking to your body in a way that is pleasing to you, then why even bother? You're just gonna be disappointed, you know? If you don't
Yeah.
like what he's doing, move him and be like, go ahead and stop. I want you to try here instead.
Mhm.
That's great. And a lot of people
Now,
respond well to that.
yeah, I mean, definitely don't scold.
Right. Unless you're into that.
I mean, that's like a different conversation.
Right.
But if it's just in the moment, I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe it. It's like sexily tell them like, this is what I like, which you only can like use that voice when you're in the moment, because
Mm.
you're in the moment, and like it's like your body goes, sexy voice unlocked.
I'm the type of person that's very okay with someone saying, "Ooh, that's too hard. Can you
Oh
stop
yeah,
doing it?" I'm very okay with that. Like if it's a little
I
more of a stern voice, or, "Ooh, not so much. Do
I
this." Like I don't mind that
I
too
need
much.
that.
Yeah, me
I
too.
I get a little too excited. So I
Same.
definitely, yeah, and you don't even realize you're going that hard, because you're just like, now you're just like, yeah. And
Right.
then they're like, no, 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 pineapple, pineapple,
Right.
pineapple.
My safe word is Carol Channing.
You yell Carol Channing?
I jokingly said it to one partner once, and they laughed so hard that they said, "I probably won't say that. Do whatever you want to me." And I thought, Okay, this is beautiful.
Oh my god. I just picture your neighbors like, who is this person?
Oh, I always go to them. I always go to them, and I will almost always ask like, how loud can I be? Do you want me to be quiet?
Oh,
I'm that type of person. As soon as I get in, if it's someone I've never met, I'm like, how quiet do you need me to be? Because I won't make a lot of noise. If you need me to be quiet, silent as the grave. I've hooked up at people's
I
workplaces, so I know how to be quiet.
there's okay, so that's different because you're get like I you said wrap up and we have kept going. I am so sorry.
You're fine.
There's hooking up in places you need to be quiet,
Yeah,
and then that's hot.
right.
But I have been with someone who they didn't move and they didn't make noises, and I was
I
like,
hate
"Are
that.
you are you into this?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah," and you're just like, "For real? This doesn't feel okay." And then you like it's not great. But to reverse it, the screamer where it sounds like almost
Mm.
fake,
Oh yeah,
where you're
yeah. I don't
like,
like those.
"No," you're like, it doesn't have to be loud.
Yeah, it doesn't
I'm
need to be.
muffled. Now you get louder. No, you're just. Did you watch a porn and you think this is what's supposed to be every time?
Yelling at the top of your lungs.
Yeah.
One of the worst for me was I was I was inside this guy and I looked down because like it had taken a little bit of prep to start everything and I had gotten inside and I looked and he had his phone in his hand and he was like messaging on his phone and I'm like, I'm sorry, are you bored? And he like looked at me and goes, oh no, sorry, I'm just like I'm having a really good time. I just wanted to reply to this. And he's like, but it's okay. And
What?
he's like, can I take a picture of this?
That's
And I
all
was
it was.
and
That's what it was.
right. And he goes and I'm like, yeah, but don't put my face in it. And he goes, okay. And then he like holds it and he's like, keep going. And I'm like, it's really hard for me to get into this. And so he's like, no, it's fine. I'm having fun. And he's like holding he's on Snapchat and is like recording it. And then I'm just kind of
Oh.
waiting and I'm super not into it. And I'm like thinking in the back of my head, can I finish? Can I finish? And so then he does what he records his video and he shows it to me. He's like, that's so hot. And I'm like, is it? And he like puts his phone down and just like laid there for the rest of it. And I'm like, oh, you just wanted to get a Snapchat video so you could put it on your story and then say you got fucked. And that's all. That was the only thing that you wanted. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. It was horrid. And people
I
that are just quiet and don't move, I'm like, okay, I can't get into this.
If you're gonna record, both parties have to be okay because we live in a world where when you record, there's a good chance they're gonna post.
Right.
So you have to make sure everyone's okay because what you experience happens probably more often than people want to admit.
Mm-hmm.
And I I mean it's always hot when you record your partner and
Right.
it's like your personal spank bank.
Yeah.
But a fucking stranger, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, if we talked about it beforehand, there was someone that I hooked up with that's very specifically before we started. He said, "If you want to do this, as long as you record yourself doing it to me, we could do anything." And that sort of was like ahead of time. I already knew
Mhm.
what to expect. But when they sort of just are like, "Oh, sorry, I just want to take a picture really quick." I wish you had told me before because now I got to readjust all my thinking.
Yeah, and it's also because A, you want to make sure you look good, but
Right.
B, like, maybe you don't want people to know you hooked up with this person.
Maybe I want to keep this a secret.
Well, it's not that it's a secret. It's like maybe this was the like you needed it. They're there. You're giving them a freebie. They have no business being with you, and you were just like, you know what? I needed this. And then they're gonna record it. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I am not going to be what spirals you to the A game. No, I refuse.
Oh, I felt that so hard. You have no idea. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me, Cole.
Thank you for
I love
inviting
you
me.
so much. I had so much fun. I'm glad that we could do it.
Yeah, I think I've said I love you so many times on your stream. Like it's becoming redundant at this point. But yeah, no, like I always love supporting you, and I think you do amazing work. And
Thank
this
you.
podcast is definitely Um,
It's got a unique perspective.
It does, and I'm still surprised, even while doing this show, that you asked me of all people to do it. So.
I wanted to have you on for quite a while now, and I was trying to think of. I was like, we could talk about so many things, and I was like, but you know what? I think would be more fun having Cole talk about sex.
Yeah, this platform's all about comic books and movies and Star Wars.
Let's
you know what?
Do a different thing.
Sex. We're gonna do sex.
Right. You can talk about geek culture, Star Wars, comics all day long. Let's talk about something new.
Yeah. Oh man.
If they want to,
we are breaking down stereotypes tonight, people.
We are breaking them down. We're building cities and skyscrapers. Nails on hammers.
Nails on hammers.
If everybody listening wants to find you anywhere, if they want to follow the podcast you do, if they want to follow any of your work that you put out, where can they find you?
Well, if you want to follow the podcast, it's the Welcome Party Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and sadly TikTok, even though TikTok seems to be dying.
I love TikTok.
I do too, but the country doesn't, so
right.
It might get banned, and I'm like, shit, that's where almost all my followers are.
Right.
But that's the Welcome Party Pod is that. But you can find the podcast on twitch.tv/Perception Studio. Mondays at 7:30, the Welcome Party, where Alex, JBG, and I talk about geeky things with you, the chat. And then you can find me. Oh, God, my voice cracked on that one. I went back years. You can find me at Rogue Jedi TTV everywhere. That's the one name. I'm a big believer in, if it's gonna be my username, it's gonna be my username everywhere.
That
even
branding.
Though I hate TTV. Whoever bought Rogue Jedi, fuck you, because it's gone and everywhere.
That was me. I did that.
Like, I just want to go to, like, I'm not rich. I'm not going to buy the the name. I'm not going to buy the domain. But Rogue Jedi out there exists. But Rogue Jedi TTV, that's me.
That's all
on,
yours.
Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. I stream Thursdays and Friday nights, only for a couple hours because
You're
I
an
don't
old
have much.
man.
It's okay. When I'm done, it's almost 11 o'clock. Okay, like that's. I have work at like 5 a.m.
True.
So.
I can't talk. I stay up until 8 in the morning. So.
And then you have a different
I have a different life.
Yeah.
A different life of being awake. But thank you so much for doing this with me again. I had so much fun, and I appreciate the heck out of you. I hope that for everybody listening, I hope you have a fantastic week. Please take care of yourselves. Happy freaking Pride Month. Thank you for tuning in as always. Right? Pride freaking Month. I meant my most powerful. And I will talk to you again next week. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye. I don't know if I'm supposed to say goodbye.
You can say goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.